Assalamu alaikum everyone, I'm Sania Gilani, your instructor for the subject of Rise of the Novel 18th and 19th Century. And we are in our lecture number 16 on the topic of Introduction to Charles Dickens' Hard Times and a detailed summary and character exploration of the story. The summary of Hard Times. Thomas Cranch, a wealthy retired merchant in the industrial city of Coketown, England, devotes his time to the philosophy of rationalism, self-interest and facts. He raises his oldest children, Louisa and Tom, according to this philosophy and never allows them to engage in fanciful or imaginative pursuits. He founds a school and he charitably takes in one of the students, the kind and imaginative Sissy Jupe, after the disappearance of her father, a circus entertainer. As the grandchildren grow older, Tom becomes a self-interested hedonist character, and Louisa struggles with deep inner confusion, feeling as though she is missing something important in her life. Eventually, Louisa marries Cranch's friend, Joshua Bounderby, who is extremely older, a wealthy factory owner and banker, more than twice her age. He's Louisa's father's age. Bounderby continuously trumpets his role as a self-made man who was abandoned in the gutter by his mother as an infant. Tom is apprenticed at the Bounderby Bank and Sissy remains at the Cranch home to care for the younger children. In the meantime, an impoverished hand, a term Dickens terms used for the lowest laborers in Coketown's factories, named Stifel Blackpool, struggles with his love for Rachel, another poor factory worker. He is unable to marry her because he is already married to a horrible, drunken woman who disappears for months and even years at a time. Stephen visits Bounderby to ask about divorce, but learns that only the wealthy can obtain that, because it was extremely expensive to get a divorce. Outside Bounderby's home, he meets Mrs. Pegler, a strange old woman with an inexplicable devotion to Bounderby. James Harthouse, another wealthy, young sophisticate from London, arrives in Coketown to begin a political career as a disciple of Cranch, who is now a member of the parliament. He immediately takes an interest in Louisa and decides to try to seduce her. With the unspoken aid of Mrs. Sparsit, a former aristocrat who has fallen on hard times and now works for Bounderby, he sets about trying to corrupt Louisa, who is married to Bounderby at this time. The Hands, exhorted by a crooked union spokesman named Slackbridge, tried to form a union. Only Stephen refuses to join because he feels that a union strike would only increase tension between employers and employees. He is cast out by the other Hands and fired by Bounderby when he refuses to spy on them. His own goodness bites him back. Louisa, impressed by Stephen's integrity, visits him before he leaves Coketown and helps him with some money. Tom accompanies her and tells Stephen that if he waits outside the bank for several consecutive nights, help will come to him. Stephen does so, but no help arrives. Eventually, he packs up and leaves Coketown, hoping to find agricultural work in the country. Not long after that, the bank is robbed, and the lone suspect is Stephen Blackpool, the vanished hand who was seen loitering outside the bank for several nights just before disappearing from the city. Mrs. Sparsit witnesses Harthouse declaring his love for Louisa, and Louisa agrees to meet him in Coketown later that night. However, Louisa instead flees to her father's house, where she miserably confides to Cranch that her upbringing has left her married to a man she does not love, disconnected from her feelings, deeply unhappy, and possibly in love with Harthouse, a man with his own problems. She collapses on the floor, and Cranch, stuck dumb with self-reproach, begins to realize that imperfections in his philosophy of rational self-interest is what led to the demise of his family. Sissy, who loves Louisa deeply as a sister, visits Harthouse and convinces him to leave Coketown forever. Bounderby, furious that his wife has left him, redoubles his efforts to capture Stephen Blackpool. When Stephen tries to return to clear his good name, he falls into a mining pit called Old Hell Shaft. Rachel and Louisa discover him, but he dies soon after an emotional farewell to Rachel, the woman he used to love. Grancrine and Louisa realize that Tom is really responsible for robbing the bank, and they arrange to sneak him out of England with the help of the circus performers with whom Sissy spent her early childhood. They are nearly successful, but are stopped by Bitzer, a young man who went to Grancrine's school and who embodies all the qualities of the detached rationalism that Grancrine once promoted, but who now sees its limitations. Sleary, the lisping circus proprietor, arranges for Tom to slip out of Bitzer's grasp, and the young robber escapes from England after all the trouble. Mrs. Sparsit, anxious to help Bounderby, finds the robbers, drags Mrs. Pegler, a known associate of Stephen Blackpool, in to see Bounderby, thinking Mrs. Pegler is a potential witness. Bounderby recoils, and it is revealed that Mrs. Pegler is really his loving mother, whom he has forbidden to visit him. Bounderby is not a self-made man after all. Angrily, Bounderby fires Mrs. Sparsit and sends her away to her hostile relatives. 5 years later, he dies alone in the streets of Coketown. Grancrine gives up his philosophy of facts and devotes his political power to helping the poor. Tom realizes the errors of his ways but dies without ever seeing his family again, while Sissy marries and has a large and loving family. Louisa never again marries and never has children. Nevertheless, Louisa is loved by Sissy's family and learns at last how to feel sympathy for her fellow human beings, the thing she used to lack. Now, for the character analysis, I will only focus on the main characters in the story who play some sort of a central role. First is Louisa Grancrine. As a child, Louisa Grancrine absorbs her father's teaching about the values of factual analysis and pure reason, rejecting imagination and sentiment completely. At 20, she marries Joshua Bounderby, a man 30 years older, because she believes it matters little whom she marries and has no other prospects at the time anyway. When she meets and develops feelings for the young teacher James Harthouse, she spins into a crisis of conscience and must reevaluate her understanding of herself and her tiny bubble of a world. Next character is Mr. Bounderby, Joshua Bounderby. Proudly, loudly, and frequently proclaims to have been born in a ditch, abandoned there by his mother, and rescued by an abusive grandmother who raised him. He also claims to have ascended to his position of wealth and respect in Coketown by means of his own cunning and enterprise, overcoming abuse and hardships every step of the way. He resents his workers, believing they feel entitled to what he calls luxuries, but in fact are basic necessities of life. After his marriage collapses, the truth about his family, he was raised by a loving middle-class widowed mother, emerges and his status diminishes. He never earned everything on his own. He had a cushion in the form of a loving mother. Next is Mr. Grancrine, the father of Tom and Louisa. Thomas Grancrine's intentions are good as he raises his students and his children to embrace factual analysis and logic to ensure their long-term success and prosperity. However, he grows increasingly fond of his kind-hearted and imaginative ward, Sissy Jupe. Despite her inadequacies as a student of fact and reason, when his favorite child Louisa reveals the miseries of her own life and begs for his help, he feels powerless and understands emotions, and soon after abandons pure reason for a more balanced approach towards life. he finally starts to develop emotions and love for his own children. Next is Thomas Grancrine, the son of Thomas Grancrine. Tom Grancrine grows up feeling resentful to his father's philosophies and hating his own work. Referred to as a whelp, Tom is often irresponsible, entitled, selfish, disreputable, and dishonest. As he rebels against the constraints of his upbringing, Tom drinks heavily and incurs massive gambling debts. When Louisa is no longer able to help him, he steals from the bank and attempts to frame Stephen Blackpool for the crime. Tom's family helps him escape from England when the truth is known, but he comes to appreciate them only as he is dying alone abroad without his family or anyone to talk to. Next is Sissy Jupe. Sissy Jupe is the daughter of a horse riding circus clown who hopes his daughter will get an education and have a more stable life than he and the circus can ever provide for her. Sissy is a poor student of Mr. Grancrine's facts and reason based curriculum because she is too imaginative. She possesses more nuanced wisdom in seeing at an early age than that facts are not the only basis for knowledge. Sissy sees issues from a larger perspective and has the ability to understand them from different angles. This kind of understanding, combined with her kind heart, helps the Grancrines in difficult times when facts do not align. Lastly, let's talk about Stephen Blackpool. Stephen Blackpool works in one of Mr. Bounderby's factories. He is married to an alcoholic who leaves home for long stretches of time, returning when she is too sick to function on her own. Stephen would like to divorce her so he can marry Rachel, the woman he loves, but divorce is not an option for him. It is not possible for people with no money and influence. Instead, he does his duty and his work until his honesty and desire to avoid trouble anger both the union organizer and his own employer. He leaves town but is forced to return to defend himself against false allegations of bank robbery. On his return, he falls into a disused coal pit and dies of his injuries shortly after he is rescued by Louisa and Rachel. He does not have a happy ending. He does not have a happy life nor a happy conclusion. Mrs. Sparsit was also a poor woman. She was born and married within a higher class, but her occupation as Mr. Bounderby's housekeeper is implied that she has limitations. She has lost her money. After her husband's death, she has to work and she resents having to leave the position of a wealthy aristocrat. Even though Mr. Bounderby gives her a comfortable position at the bank, she plots against Louisa, the wife of Mr. Bounderby, and accidentally exposes Mr. Bounderby's situation instead. So each of the characters in the story have their own burdens they carry, and all of them come together to move the plot forward. That is all for today's lecture, in which we talked about the detailed summary and some of the main characters of the story. Till next lecture, Allah Hafiz, and I hope you understood something. See you guys soon.